Greetings everyone, I'm Muktanshu and welcome back to DevRel. So now we are back with the second episode of Crypto Café. After kind of success of the first episode, we are back with Lakshay now because I think he's interested into the other conversations rather than DAOs. We'll talk about that later. And yeah, I'll introduce you to our guest today. One of the closest man I have in the space in terms of developer relations. We are the DevRel bros, and Lakshay is going to be the isolated one in the podcast. Welcome, Kanishk. He's the developer relations for Lumos Labs.
Thank you so much for having me here, Muktanshu and Lakshay. This has been long time coming, I would say, because we've been talking about Developer Chino for some time since we met
Yeah.
back. And yeah, hi everyone. My name is Kanishk. I work in the developer relations department at Lumos Labs. I also help out with the front end and the engineering stuff. We're building some really cool stuff, and I love coding. I love building communities, and I love being at the next hackathon you'll be hacking at. So yeah, that's basically who I am and what I do.
Yeah, Kanishk is always present at a hackathon, and I think the technical part that we mentioned is something that we'll have a real conversation about because Kanishk is one of the most informed guys when I talk about assistance throughout the technical stacks of a hackathon. I've seen him everywhere, and the idea of Developer Chino was also a very good story. Kanish was taking a workshop at my college, which I share with Lakshay, and me and Lakshay was sitting at the background with our boxers on and with our laptops open. And Kanish just asked, "What is blockchain? Can anyone explain that?" And for some reason, I thought that this could be the moment for me to come forward and flex my skills. And yeah, that's how we got to know Kanishk. I got a very good gym T-shirt by Lumos Labs, and and
So
that's how we met. But yeah, this has been a long time coming, and I think there is a very different perspective when we talk about our journeys in Web3, because it's very similar in some cases, and it's very different in the steps that we have taken. So yeah, like how did a normal Indian guy who can be in Fang wanted to get into Web3?
oh wow. This is like a big story that I have to share then. So basically, what happened with me was that I tried getting into Fang. I did that DSA grind for a full year. I tried my hand at Flutter development, web development. I tried everything that I could. So I used to sit right on this desk with a very shitty laptop and just keep coding whatever I could find. I would do GFG, lead code, all of it. But every interview I would go to, they'd be like, okay, which year are you in? Oh, first year. Oh, sorry, bye bye. Which year are you in? Oh, second year. Okay, no, sorry, bye bye. So I sort of felt bad. I'm like, at least give me a chance. At
Yeah,
least ask me. Okay, you ask me whatever you want, then reject me. I'm good. But in the mail you're writing, you don't fit the age criteria. What?
yeah,
So that sort of triggered me. So I started looking for opportunities where a student or maybe somebody who's of a younger age could shine. Tried my hand at Google OA, cleared it, but couldn't really go through the interview. And that is when I got my first DevRel job. So I think this was about 2 years ago. This was a Web2 company, and they focused on low-code UIs. And I was a developer relations engineer there. And I used to work a lot on content. I used to work a lot on the video side of things, create documentations and all of that. But again, they used to work in a very, send your PR to your manager and then they will approve. So you have to wait 3 days before this code goes live.
yeah,
And that's also good. I'm not saying that's bad, but I wanted a more fast-paced environment where I get to learn more. And I wanted to try my hand on React. I wanted to be more fluent with Tailwind and all of that. And Web3 was the boom. One of my seniors, he took me to an event one day then, and he was like, "तू चल तो सही, अरे चल तो सही, बस देख तो सही क्या होता है." I'm like, "चलो देखते हैं." And his trade-off was, worst thing that will happen to you is तुझे पिज्जा मिल जाएगा. मैं कहा ये worst है. So 2 years ago, I was like, "ये worst है." And yeah, that's basically when I started learning Solidity. I started integrating smart contracts into whatever React I knew back then, and that's when Lumos sort of happened. So I used to be very active on Twitter. Whatever I'm doing, even if it is writing README for a small project, I would share it online.
yeah.
So
I share that passion with you. I was really active on Twitter. Everything you go and everything starts in Web3. I somehow it relates to pizza. I don't know why, but
वो
yeah, it
culture,
was the pizza coincidence for you too.
pizza culture is what Web3. So I think
Yeah,
that's why we sort of celebrate Bitcoin Pizza Day as well.
yeah,
Yep. So that was basically it. And then I got my opportunity at Lumos, and yeah, I've been here ever since then. Made a lot of friends, made a lot of good community partners, and obviously helped and made friends with a lot of developers and builders as well.
yeah.
I think that was the best part. So
Yeah,
this is basically how things started for me.
I see a very route breakdown in this. The route that you took was you were already in developer relations while doing Web2, and somehow it's always the no code UI solutions where the interns get their first job. I remember n number of my friends that always got their web development gig or like any intern gig at a no code UI solution, or we will create a website for you solution,
Yeah.
because I think they are the ones who hire the most, and they are just like the direct B2C connectors, so a lot of
Yeah.
opportunities there.
Totally.
But yeah, from that point of view, I think going into developer relations and discovering Web3, I think it would have been, because you were already applying for FANG, you were already giving your interviews, it would have been a saturated journey, because
Hmm.
getting into Web2, then feeling yourself, that you are doing the same thing from time to time, things are going slow, you cannot grow. And then going into space that can go up all night and
Yeah.
then go down the same hour. So how did you find that surety? Because I think Lakshay would agree here. We took quite some time to get sure about the space. Like for me, it was a very specific moment, but for Lakshay, it came like a really slow
It took me
kind of
even
burn.
longer.
Yeah,
So,
I think.
so I was completely dependent on Muktanshu for whatever he suggests me to do. Like for a year, I have been grinding DSN and every other shit. And one day I came to Muktanshu and I was like, I really don't enjoy this at all. I don't want to get into another JE competition in DSA, CP.
Yeah, just for
And yeah,
sorry, Lakshay, for
this,
interrupting. The JEE is a competition that we have all been through. We
Yeah.
have done our JEE mains, JEE advanced preparation. We have been through that colleges, and the one thing that it teaches you to a couple of things. A competitive exam is really important.
Yeah.
Giving couple of competitive exam is not possible.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
I think we all of us ran away because there was a gamble that we'll have to play. In fourth year, we'll get to know about what happened to our competitive coding. I
Totally.
think we were running away from that because we wanted stability. We wanted something that started entertaining us from that point of time.
And for me, I'm completely impatient, and I didn't really get into that. So yeah, I started as a developer in Web3. I worked in Solana ecosystem as a Solana developer, but ever since then I transitioned my role into community. And I remember like Kanishk is the one of the person I know IRL that has been into Web3 since a long time. And we met somewhere in our college, and I
College
remember
fest.
that he said that, yeah,
Yeah, Kanish
that he
bumped
said,
into me in my college fest, and I called Lakshay. Lakshay and me were
yeah,
like missing because that college fest had 10,000 students.
Yeah.
So
yep.
me and Lakshay got somehow in our different ways, and then I called Lakshay up that Kanishk is here, and Kanish just Twitter DM'd me. At that time, we didn't had WhatsApp; we were
Yeah.
just on Twitter. And somehow we were vibing in between of college fest where there were artists performing about how do we want to create this community kind of stuff.
That was so good, man. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about community, and one thing that had really resonated and struck my head was you don't really know your community or product unless you are technical.
Facts.
that
That's
that's really like that's a very hard guess to take. That's a very harsh point of view also, but
Hmm.
that's the truest point of view.
yep.
Absolutely.
Because in Web3, most of the startups are technical. All of the startups are technical,
Yeah.
and you cannot talk big about your product if you don't know anything about the technicality. Like even me,
True.
if I switch to a protocol, I can just act that I know the infrastructure because I know the basic coding part that goes around it. But even for anyone who is a new to a project or a protocol, it does not depend how new are you into Web3. You'll have to
Good.
take your 1 or 1.5 month of just understanding, just going through the documentation, reading through the documentation, backing every fact up, because once you're grilled technically, that usually DevRels are, because for some reason and for some very accurate reason, there is a doubt that either this guy is technical or not. Because that's what we'll talk about. I'll talk to you about the typical three divisions of what developer relations are. We've had this conversation about like three different types of developer relations, and yeah, we have talked about your past roles. We've talked about the failures part, but now I want to talk about the current role that you're enjoying. Like, what are the three kind of DevRel that you're divided into, and how do you form your DevRel profile as?
Absolutely. I think, first of all, if you are a DevRel, just make sure, and if your company is not pushing you to do that, you push yourself and you be more involved with the engineering side of things. Because those are the people who are actually building on the project. And if you are not in the engineering team, then just tell them, "Ki bhai, please keep me in your shadow. Let me know whatever you're building, because people will tell me about the problems and I need to convey it to you. But if I don't really stay in touch with the product itself, then the entire flow will break. So the good thing about being at Lumos is that I'm also in the engineering team. So if something is breaking, you tell me in an event, hey, this was breaking for me when I was trying. I'll just open my laptop quickly, fix it up, deploy, and you'll be able to check it out. So I feel that is extensively important for a DevRel to do. Then moving forward to the three kind of DevRels that we've seen. First is the good DevRel, the technical DevRel, the guy who has actually done his due diligence on the code. They have sat through those terminals filled with errors and they've sort of figured their way out. The other one is sort of your event coordinator DevRel. So these are sort of people who have a lot of contacts and they try to arrange events, right?
Yeah.
They may or may not be technically sound, but they can handle events.
Yeah.
So, and they also sort of fit in this community manager sort of an equation.
Yeah, so that's more of a developer community relations. That's also a very integral part to have in your web team, because when we talk about technical shit, people usually disconnect from us if they are not interested in that. And I think a guy that has a particular set of contacts and stuff like that will keep the community in like a bind as per us. So yeah, a good DevRel, then a community DevRel, and what's the third part?
Yeah, the third one is this like a program manager sort of a DevRel. They can look after hackathons, they can look after events. May or may not be technically very experienced, but they have this experience of management. And I feel all three of them are sort of equally important. But every company, every community sort of takes their own way to define what a DevRel is for them. And and again, this is something that is very personal to me, because I want to be at a place where I get a lot of technical exposure, but I also want to be with the people. So you need to give me opportunities to be out there, and if possible, also arrange these events with the people. And I feel that there are DevRels who don't really care about the technical side as well. I've seen that happen. So you ask them, is Polygon an L1 or an L2? It's done. They say L1, and you just cut the call right there. So
that's also a very different perspective of seeing things, because we've seen this as like a good founder combination. Like there should be a technical DevRel, there should be a community DevRel, and then there should be an executive DevRel, because you need to execute things up. But that's also very product dependent. When I talk about Lumos, Lumos is like a very different perspective of community. It's a community over metaverse, and I think from that part, I think it's project dependent. Like Lakshay works at Third Web. So Third Web is a technical infrastructural protocol. So I think any developer relations who's really technical should be a very good fit as per me, Lakshay. I'm not doubting any hiring procedure on your side. But yeah, whereas on my side, Arcana, I usually try to call myself integrations relation. Because that's a very side of things that I like, because I like a good mix of business development and technical development. I like the community part, that's why I'm doing this, but I don't like the whole community management kind of thing. We have the sheer force of community managers for that. I think we are the persons who outreach the technical part of things, the technical part of developers. So I think integration relation is directly interacting to a business who is integrating with you. You should be very sharp with them. There is kind of two kind of conversation. One is what we are doing right now. We are discussing as developers. And second is client to customer relations, which is, I have this problem. This is the solution. Sorry for the delay if there is a delay. We are working with you. We can modify this for you. We can pace up the integration for you. Anything that you offer business to business. And I think that's a difference between a Telegram DevRel or a Discord DevRel.
I'm very bad at that. I mean, you tell me, hey, maintain my Discord server for me. I'm like, bye. This is something I am very bad at. You give me problems, I'll solve them. I'll give you the solution. But if you tell me, hey, you need to ping the community every day at 5 p.m. because that is when they come home from college, I'm like, okay, sorry. I am sleeping at 5 p.m. I'm not going to do that.
And I think that's what Lakshay's forte is. He's really nice with,
So you are missing a key point here. I'm not a community manager. I'm a technical community manager. I was appointed to assess the community technically, and
Guys,
Thereby,
he's
I
just
know
a
my
Discord
product.
mod. He just
Okay.
lies about his job profile. No, but yeah, I think managing communities through Telegram and Discord are, two sides of the same coin. You're
Absolutely.
managing a community, but the conversation part is really different. Uh, on one side, you need traction, you need
Hmm.
interaction, and on the other side, you need convenience and direct conversation.
Absolutely.
So that's a very different side. But coming to that, the developer community in Metaverse, what's your
Hmm.
perspective of Metaverse, Kanish? Because we have our GTA 5 references and all these references. But yeah, what's your perspective?
I think when you stand in an event, for example, and you walk up to somebody and you talk to them, which is exactly what happened with us. That cannot be done over a Google Meet, right? Because I won't even just give you the link, right? That cannot be done over a phone call either, because I just won't pick up the phone, right? But when you are standing in an environment where you can literally walk up to someone and be like, "Hey, these are my skills. This is my proof of work. Is there any place where we can collaborate? Is there any place we can work?" This is a kind of environment that facilitates growth. This is a kind of environment that facilitates opportunities. And I feel that this is where Metaverse really fits in with the developer vision that we have at Lumos, because we want to help these builders, because these builders are the people who are actually going to make solutions that the ecosystem needs right now. So you see that the ecosystem has a tremendous amount of issues, but you and I talking here isn't going to fix that. There are people who will actually have to code the solution out.
Yeah,
And to facilitate that, we've brought up something that is called a metaverse. And the vision that we have in the Lumos metaverse is it's going to be specifically for developers only. So say you want a job, come to us. You want an ecosystem, come to us. You want community events where you don't have to get out of your bed, but you get the same value. So you save that 2 hours of metro time that everybody has to do from Delhi to Gurgaon and then back home. So that is the kind of vision we sort of tried to create. And another issue here is when I go to the hiring side of things, I see a lot of resumes where all the projects they are making is tic tac toe. They are
exactly.
making that tin dog. I made that tin dog
Yeah,
project from Angela Yu's course on London Brewery, which is on Udemy.
yeah.
500 rupees, but in immense value. Everybody makes that.
Everybody does Angela U, and
Yeah.
everybody do their fair share of
Correct.
projects from Clever Programmer or from sorry
Code with
Sagar,
Harry.
Code
Indian
with
community
Harry.
is crazy for Code with Harry.
Yeah,
And all for good reason. I'm not saying that's
yep.
bad.
Like I still feature Spotify clone on my resume. I just have improved that because that's a
Yes.
project that made me grow. So there has been stuff, but imagine a reality, a whole another reality where you can interact with developers, you can
Exactly.
interact with hiring managers.
Exactly.
Imagine Twitter being 3D. Like,
That would be so cool.
yeah,
If somebody posts an irritating opinion, I can just go and slap them. It would be
yeah,
so
like
easy.
that's so easy. I can just snatch away Lakshay's mic and he can stop being Discord moderator for a day. So, uh,
Yeah, no, so, but coming to the metaverse part,
yeah.
I really want to understand how Lumos's metaverse, about Lumos metaverse from a user's perspective, and how does it really help? Because I'm still really, very skeptical about the whole metaverse thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And all for good reason. Because you see, Meta
Yeah,
tried Metaverse itself. They rebranded
yeah,
themselves. They did
Yeah,
so many things. And even then they faced a tremendous amount of difficulties. But now you need to understand that the kind of audience Meta has and the kind of audience we are playing on is very, very diverse. We are playing on a very small subset of people who are focused on a particular target. You go to Facebook, all you see is people dancing, right? So that is the kind of audience subset that we are working with, and it gives us a lot of opportunities because most of the people on the platform are developers itself. So we get to learn from them, and they get to learn from us. So most of it is focused around three words: network, growth, and opportunities, and that's basically it. So and as I was mentioning, the hiring side of things, what happens here is that now whatever proof of work you do gets rolled up on the chain. So there is an exact how do I say, there's an exact proof that you have done something. Here is the credential that you earned when you did that thing, and you can present that to any hiring manager or any person as well when you want to get a job or you want to show your proof of work. So no more copying pasting projects,
your
no
resume
more
over a
showing fake.
blockchain.
Exactly. So no more showing these fake certificates that you can make on Canva
Yeah,
and say, "Hey, I'm a
yeah.
good developer." So that is the kind of market we are trying to fight. Because while hiring, also we saw all these problems and we felt, okay, let's build a solution that is good for us that we will also use and will help other enterprises as well. And of course, it's going to be an open environment for developers. You can walk around wherever you want. You can talk to anybody you want. There's going to be proximity communication inbuilt, and a lot of other factors that we are currently working on. So I'm not really sure when we are going to be able to show the alpha to all of you, but a small preface to this is the education initiatives that we are taking, which is the Lumos Academy itself.
Yeah.
So Academy is going to serve as, like, how do I say, like a prequel to this movie called Metaverse, in which you will be getting some education, you'll be getting some NFTs, and you'll be clearing all these targets to actually become a good developer. And of course, hiring is integrated into it.
Yeah, I think you talked about community. I have seen you very active in a particular niche of community, which is the hackathon building community.
Yeah.
Because there are many communities which are talking about product, talking about the business side of things. But there is a niche community of builders. I see you very active there. Very relevant because your product also does that. But I think your forte is also surrounded pretty much on that. So you have got quite your experience. Me and Lakshay have been dwelling with the community, but not on an interaction basis. We've been on the part of Lakshay debugs the code, or helps them out on their integration side. I help them out on their integration side. But you have talked to the developers while building. I did that previously, but I have some feedbacks. But I wanted to know your perspective of how the developer community right now is lacking. What's the plus side of a Web3 developer community? And why are they so much present in the whole Twitter space?
Absolutely. See, these developer communities are very, very active and very loud, because every protocol, every chain, everybody wants people to build things on them, right? For example, why does AWS succeed so much, and why is it a very profitable business? Because people are actually building on top of AWS. They're using AWS services for their own products. And this is what these protocols and these chains also want to do, so that more and more projects live on us. They pay us some money, or we get like a dividend out of whatever their cut is, and we are able to sustain ourselves. So this is the kind of product market fit that they are chasing at the moment. And of course, then talking of developer communities, see, communities are a funnel. So you take a big chunk of people, you put them through something, and then a smaller chunk will survive, and then you put those through something, a smaller chunk will survive. And to keep them motivated, you need to reward at each level. And how small your pool is, the bigger your reward can be.
Yeah.
So what I've seen is that through hackathons, we are able to identify these good developers. So we put them in our community, we make them in charge of some projects, we help them grow, because most of them, they are in search of internships, most of them are in search of jobs as well, and they basically want an environment where somebody teaches them what to do, or at least helps them in whatever they are doing. And I feel that in that term, supporting is the major part of the role. If I don't support, if I don't go at a hackathon to help a person out, I will never be able to interact with the crowd, which is why I love hackathons. So every weekend I'm either at a hackathon, online, offline, whatever it is, or I'm hacking. So that is basically how I find my friends, I find my audience.
Yeah, we all see that on Twitter. I think Kanishk has the most hackathon active Twitter on the side. Whereas, like, we usually shitpost stuff, and we usually do that thing.
I should post a fair share.
Yeah, but that's needed. I think someone has to say GM if he or she is a developer relations. So yeah, that's also a thing. But I think you have talked about the developer side of things. You have talked about how communities are thriving. But we have to address the infrastructural setbacks that had us when we transition from Web 2 to Web 3. I see that Metaverse is one of the most, extensive thing in type of, technical expertise or technical development. I saw Lakshay being a C++ developer, and I had to, support that part, that he has to be very primitive in terms of infrastructure, because when we were comparing it to the regular tech stack that we have, when you compare C++ development to JavaScript development, it's a fair share of difference.
Absolutely.
So how is we have seen projects coming up with decentralized storage. We've seen some projects, IPFS, we always build on them. We have them infrastructural projects, but still, how are you seeing this evolving? Like, what's the current open source Web3 decentralized tech stack for you?
Okay, so the current open source decentralized tech stack I use React for my front ends.
Yeah.
For my node providers, I can go with Infura. Infura is quite reliable for me; it never really breaks. For deployment, either it's Spheron or StackOS. At the moment, I don't find any other partners. But
StackOS, Spheron. What live peer is?
Live peer, but that's a peer-to-peer video conference. That's different. And see, the whole thing here is that for personal projects, you can deploy wherever you want.
Yeah.
Right. But when you work on an infra level where you know that like 20,000, 30,000 people are going to come on my platform and speak,
Yeah.
that is when you need to make a trade-off. And what I've seen is that no platform is completely decentralized as of today. They
Yeah.
all have either a centralized database, a centralized deployment unit, or any other factor, or they're basically a hybrid. Hybrid
Yeah.
models are very, very prevalent.
Hybrid are really prevalent right now because we're still in the development phase of things, and we have mastered some part of it because I saw a time where Web3 UI was very criticized. And
Yeah,
now I've seen a wave of good
good
UIs,
UI.
good
Yeah,
UI developers, and front end developers of sort.
absolutely.
But yeah, because we're still seeing some database and infrastructural deficiencies on the side.
Absolutely. But see, front end is given a lot of importance in Web3 because to make the user flow easier.
For sure.
Because in general, it is going to be slower than Web2. Because block time is anyway so much that
Yeah.
you need to tell your user, ki, bhai, please wait. Something is happening. If
Yeah.
you want to learn what is happening, click here. If you don't want to learn, you just want to wait, click here.
Yeah.
So you need to give those options for people to actually learn and understand. For those who want to, for those
Yeah.
who don't want to, they may or may not stay in the ecosystem either.
Yeah.
And that is when you might notice Tailwind took a very big stride in
Yeah.
Web3 ecosystem. Like, I personally love Tailwind. I cannot even write normal CSS now. I just know
Yeah,
Tailwind.
I did not know at first that CSS was that much of a drag when I was introduced to Tailwind. I
Yeah,
think this is because for that 5 seconds that we take extra, we've been optimizing everything to its none state.
exactly.
Everything in Web3 is so optimized because of that block time, and now that block time is also being optimized because
That's so good.
yeah, we want to compete. We have those acceleration solutions, and we have a fair
Yeah,
share of merges, and then the other things. But yeah, still we are working very hard on making
absolutely.
the interaction time as slow as possible.
And you might notice that a lot of chains have also introduced a lot of nice techniques to handle these
Yeah,
block times. For example, sharding itself. Then
yeah,
there's something called BFT. Then of course, optimistic rollups and zero knowledge rollups are
yeah. I
there.
think
Zero
ZK
knowledge has
rollups
taken place.
were
They've
very
taken the
yeah.
internet by storm now, but they've been prevalent for a very long time, right?
Someone had an idea to
Yeah,
optimize the real shit rather
yeah,
than only doing the UI and the
yeah,
main part. But still, I think optimized rollups, ZK rollups, the newer solutions
yeah.
in terms of the L2 advances happening on the on-chain transactions. I think we have seen some prevalent fundings also being taken. I think Arbitrum and Boba Network have been really strong in terms of that. So yeah, we have seen that technical stack also.
I mean, I see a lot of people criticizing the ecosystem that you just take VC money and you dump it out on engineers and then you're done and then you raise again and you keep repeating this cycle.
Yeah.
But everybody's trying to find that fit in the market that, hey, what will actually work here? What kind of solution do we want here? So some of them are focusing on security, some of them are focusing on privacy, some are focusing on governance. So I think Gnosis Safe, it provides a
Yeah.
multi-sig feature in the wallet, right? I think that's one of the biggest selling points at the moment. And why is it important? Nobody really speaks about it outside of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Because right now you are the only entry point into your account. And if you are compromised, your entire money is gone. But you need to set up more and more barriers to that big amount of money that you've acquired. And
Yeah.
people don't really understand that.
You know, the
So,
multi-sig came into relevance. I think this is also a very finding your product market fit kind of situation because the market is new, so you're still fitting stuff into it.
exactly.
But still, like Gnosis found its way through governance because people needed to have that multi-signature wallets for the governance thing. That will
Absolutely.
not delve into because I'll get passionate
Yeah.
and I'll rant about it. But after that, I think also the ZK rollups found their product market fit now because
Now,
people have already optimized the other thing and now they're looking for the better solution on that. And I think that also happened to the newer wallets. I,
hmm,
I, I think that the newer wave MetaMask had to upgrade their UI due to
absolutely.
some reason because MetaMask was not this DeFi support or like on-screen DeFi. You can get access to every utility on your screen DeFi kind of product. But then came the storm of smart contract wallets, and they came with a pressure that MetaMask had to, relieve themselves from. So I think that finding a product market fit is a very different kind of perspective when we see a product evolving. I think how do you want Lumos to be, adapted as or accepted as in a product market fit? Because we have had our fair share of online resume creation, online developer profile creation, but Lumos is a very kind of a fresh air into that because it integrates the metaverse part of it. But how do you want to, find your career path or a fit in the Lumos metaverse?
Absolutely. So, of course, metaverse is still in the coming. It is not. It is not. And how do I say it? It is not a stack that your laptop can efficiently run at the moment if you're not using like an M2 Pro or something like that. I'm pretty sure my older laptop could not even run the interface. It took 7 minutes to start a React server. I have no hopes in that. And that is the case with not just me, but many developers in the country. So I guess while we go in our roadmap to optimize the metaverse infrastructure, we will also take some time to see what kind of audience is actually coming here. Because again, developers has three subsets: good, bad, intermediate, whatever you want to call it. But there are subsets to this, and we are also trying to find that fit in the market. But towards the end, it's just going to be a nice place to hang out as well. Because see what is happening here, right? We're just developers hanging out. We're just, developer relations, community people just hanging out and chilling. And we want to provide a similar environment there as well, because that is when conversations happen. I'll take an experience from my trip to Tokyo, and so we hosted a hacker house, and about 12, 15 hackers came. And they came after like a 7-hour flight. We're sitting in the main hall, and we're having some dinner. And of course, food in Tokyo was very different from what I ate here. So we're just having something. I don't even know what it was. And the entire night we just sat and have had conversations. We grilled some people, we grilled some companies, but we also tried to identify issues that were happening. And then that one night gave us the solutions that we are going to build in the next morning. So we were ready. We had our problem statements. We had our markets ready on which we are going to target. And I think all of us won something or the other because of that one night. I really, really give a lot of credit to that one conversation that we had, which was like 6 hours long. And that is the kind of environment you want to nourish, not just in Web3, but in every ecosystem, right? I'll take another Web2 example, hackathons. What happens in a hackathon? You sit with your friends, you sit with some good people, some mentors, and you just talk. That, hey, see, this is my issue. I want to fix it. Is there any way I can build it out? And that is when you actually start solving issues. That is when you actually start thinking more intuitively about your product, your market, your developers, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you need to nourish this to actually get to a point where something scalable can be built. For example, Polygon was not the result of a product that was built in one day. Google started from a garage. Apple started from a garage. So you need to nourish, because if you are able to provide this environment to 10 engineers, they are going to be amazing. You give it to 100 engineers, they are going to be amazing. But you need to give this environment. And so far, since we provide it on the metaverse, which is a virtual environment, it is quite difficult to actually figure out the exact tech at the moment, because I don't think it exists. And if it does, then the costs to deploy it, as you were discussing earlier, is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Optimizations need to occur on a lot of ends. And of course, then the awareness initiatives. Like, why should you be on a metaverse, right? Why should you get yourself educated? And I believe not just developers, but everybody should know what blockchain is.
Yeah, I think the technical part of it should also be very relevant and clear in terms of that. And yeah,
But
I think, yeah.
does it really matter to figure out your product market if you're building something just for the sake of building it?
I mean, if you're building just for the sake of building, that's for your own learning. That project may or may not get adopted, and you built it out to actually learn something or show somebody that, hey, listen, this is how this thing can work. And that is what pet projects are for. But if you are building something with a team and you want to scale it up and you want to add more engineers to your team, you want to get money out of it, then finding product market fit is very important. Otherwise, people don't even use it. And if people are not using your protocol, then you're irrelevant, and then you are gone out of the market. And a very good example of this is mobile phones. A couple years ago, BlackBerry was the king.
Yeah.
Every businessman had a BlackBerry. My dad had a BlackBerry. And today, everybody has an iPhone. I mean, most of the people have an iPhone. Those who still have their kidneys are, I think, much happier on the other end of the spectrum. But see, that is how markets change. And in Web3, markets don't change in years. They change in months. So a company needs to be very, very adept with these changing market analytics. And if they want to stay relevant, they need to do something or the other to keep themselves in the eye of the developers, the eye of the people. Otherwise, you're gone, because the trends change so quickly. it is very difficult to gauge them without a community or a developer guy, because they are the ones actually talking.
Yeah,
So
fascinating that you mentioned iPhone instead of Solana 4. Sega.
No, but this gives us a very good transition because Kanishk talked about being relevant as a product. But what Kanishk has been doing is being relevant as a brand of a developer or
yeah.
a relations guy. And I want to switch it up to the topic that we usually get interested in. How can in the space you transition as a developer relations guy from a developer, or you can just enter the space as a developer relations, which you did. How can that transition occurs? What is different from a normal developer to a relations guy? Is it just the content creation side, or is it anything different? And then how can you get as active as you are currently in terms of the outreach part?
So from a developer to a developer relations, you cannot be a developer relations engineer if you are not a developer. That's the first line that you need to cross.
Yeah.
So once you can handle some tech stacks, you can build something out, write about it, just talk about it. So if you're somebody who's listening to this podcast and you tried out something yesterday, or you tried out to build something or learn something, even read an article, talk about it. Because what are relations? It is people sharing ideas, it is people building bonds, right? So you talk about it, right? Post about it on Twitter, post about it on LinkedIn, hell, post about it on your WhatsApp family groups, tell
Yeah.
about your parents, right? Build relations with them first. So I would say that yeah, just talk about it. And a lot of developers who and I might tell you this, there are a lot of people outside of India who have their blogs and their content side of things running. So there's one person who's like absolute favorite of mine, because he puts out a lot of React content. His name is Bobby Hads, and
Yeah.
if you put out a React question, his website will be the first one to
Yeah.
come up. And he's a software developer. He's not a DevRel.
Yeah.
But his job is so synonymous. So there's not really a distinction between what is a
Yeah.
developer and what is a DevRel. If you're somebody who's out there, you're talking about what you're building, you're talking about what problems you're facing, you're anyway in the same realm.
Yeah.
Now it's just about being present in communities. It's just about being on like a Discord server talking about it, or even better, being present in public.
Yeah.
So the one line answer to this is, from developer to developer relations, just talk about it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think this is my like starter pitch for any person who wants to transition. Just talk about what you're building.
Absolutely.
So the first requirement for that is to be building something up. I think we
Yeah.
have always transitioned from, like, I worked as an integrations engineer. I had a hands-on experience on how to integrate stuff, how to build on stuff, and I think that helped me transition into the relation side. Also, a very good transition that occurs naturally is when you start interacting with your, like, if you work in a service protocol and you start interacting with the protocols that you are integrating with,
Right.
because then you get the former ethics or kind of things that you should do when you interact with a
Absolutely.
person. You get the promptness that you need, because I think that's one of the most discussed theory about the developers, that they're not really retentive when it comes to the bug that we're thinking about. So I think that 45-minute window of just getting there to an issue and its solution is something that we also keep in mind, because we all work as also as like the integrations manager, in
Right.
terms of we help out people who are integrating with us or who are integrating with anything with their query. And I think that promptness mark is something that's really appreciated. You
Absolutely.
always get appreciated and you always get your name remembered by either taking a good workshop or either giving a good solution. So I think
Absolutely.
that part of things is also very underappreciated. You also get very famous on a Discord server. You'll just see that people will start tagging you specifically because you're always the one who's shown up in the chat.
Absolutely.
So I think that helps us transition into what you see as the future of Web3. Like, what do you see us as evolving? Will we be relevant till date?
Hmm.
Because we are relevant till now, and we see some roast coming from the AI side, who just got a one up through ChatGPT. But still, what do you think will have
Yeah.
for the future?
So you're right. Like AI took the hype, but towards the end, AI is being used to make the life of developers, not even developers, life of people easy in general. So of course, people in Web3 are also into integrated into the existing solutions. They have to make the user experience a little bit better. That's about it, right? So if people ask me, and I get asked this question a lot, that how do I make sure that AI does not take my job?
Yeah.
Learn things that are relevant, and make sure that you learn how to integrate AI into your apps as well, because AI will not write scalable code for you. That is something you need to do. But if you also know how to integrate ChatGPT APIs properly, then you are already ahead of the curve. Because there are so many engineers who still face issues in Axios, which is one of the most basic things that you need to learn when you need to make fetch requests, right?
The most
So
famous NPM library, I would say,
exactly,
because I think when I was really starting up with the development side, I remember what we usually do as code breakdown is first we take all the import packages which
yeah.
are being imported into a code. That's also very starter tip for debugging a code. Just look at the code from line to line perspective, and you
Hmm.
can understand every tech stack with what's
Exactly.
happening. I think this was my starter pitch in an interview, in push interview. So I told that, sir, I don't know about any of the other superpowers, but I have one superpower, which is coding in any tech stack that will give me.
Yes.
Because I'm not learning a tech stack, I'm learning the science of development as a whole. So I think the first thing that we usually do is Axios, I think.
Yeah.
Then,
NPMI Axios
yeah, then I think types for TypeScript support
for TypeScript
is
apps.
also a very famous library.
You
Uh,
may also, if you're building a node server, then you might get Express and Body Parser.
Express, then Wagmi or Rainbowkit for the
Absolutely.
authorization part. Go on to Arcana, we can also support that. Just a
Let's
random
go.
plug.
Let's go. Nice.
So yeah, I will have to plug. I'm a
Oh
developer
yeah,
relations after all.
absolutely.
Yeah, but I think this relevance has been affected. But this is very in perspective of a direct competition also. So if I think if Lakshay has a protege and Lakshay is teaching that protege from time to time to help him with the integrations in Web3 or third web specifically, he'll have to get better from time to time also, because I think there will be a time where his protege will be will be able to overtake him. So I think that's the point of common growth which a developer should have to follow until he or she hits the saturation part of it, which is I don't like doing it anymore, or I'm just the best at this way, which is almost
Yeah.
not the case.
I mean, it's mostly burnout when you
Yeah,
start feeling those things. So you need to make sure that you maintain your schedule in a way where you include time to build, but you also include time to learn.
yeah.
For me, mostly weekends are when if I'm not at an event, I just sit and I just learn something that is happening around me.
I think that's
So,
why we all have these side projects going on from
oh
time to
yeah,
time.
absolutely,
I think
absolutely.
Yeah.
everyone here has a side project in mind, because we have to get, and it's really boring to say that we have to detox. We have another development gig going on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
we're still leading a very boring life, guys.
But it's so important because see, today if I'm a web developer, there's a very good chance that my niche will become smaller with the time because
For sure.
Wix is taking over, WordPress is taking over,
Yeah,
and they might have a shorter time to market than me. And
yeah,
that is what most brand wants. That hey, you can build a front end, okay, cool, but I can make one in 10 minutes on Squarespace and deploy it, and you do that. No. So who will win here? Obviously, that provider will
yeah.
win. But if I'm somebody who can integrate a lot of APIs for you, who can make your whole UI customized as to what you want, I can make an app for you as well if you say.
Yeah.
That is when you beat the market by any cost and you will be paid whatever amount you
And I
ask.
think that's why we saw it's getting streamlined as Shopify developers. Shopify was supposed to be a user specific platform, but then we created a niche out of it just for some case. Now we have our own set of WordPress developers and Shopify developers.
See, I
Uh,
mean, today jobs for Shopify developers are coming more than just your normal React
yeah, man,
developer.
just log on to Fiverr and you'll see the amount of freelance gigs going on as a Shopify or Wix developer.
So
S-
crazy.
Yeah, so I think we are very good in terms of creating jobs. But in terms of creating jobs, what's
Oh, yeah.
coming up for the future, Kanishk? Like,
Yeah,
what's
absolutely.
your vision?
Oh, this also connects me to the question back when you asked the future of blockchain in general.
Yeah,
NPCI, National Payments,
yeah,
something of Commission of India, I
yeah.
think is
Just
Yeah.
opened in
yeah,
Maharashtra. Just opened a
yeah.
vacancy. I
So
saw
they
you
The
in that Twitter
blockchain.
thread that someone just told on the
this is
tweet
this
that
will be the
this is the
lowest paid
lowest paid.
jobs ever, and I'm like, bro, there are unpaid interns. This will
They're
still be very
unpaid
high.
interns in terms of just experience, some
Yeah,
ESOPs, I think, some ESOP promise, and some certificates.
it's just bad. I mean, there was a time when I would call up a founder and be like, hey, these are my skills. Please give me a job. Yeah, you'll be on probation for 3 months. You'll not be paid, but
Yeah,
after 3 months, we'll give you 5,000 rupees. I'm like, I'll
yeah,
slap
Right.
you, dude. I'll
yeah.
slap you. Okay, so, but
Yeah, and
yeah,
I think even at that point of time, I think I've been lucky, or is this the common route? Because I think my first internship is luckily the side venture that I do now.
nice.
So, like my first internship as a web developer was me working in HTML, CSS, creating a
Mhm.
web page for an EV solution app.
Oh
Now, if
wow.
you go on to my LinkedIn, I am the co-founder for that. application.
Wow. That is it. That is actually very
Yeah,
nice.
so I think
Yeah,
we started out
I
from,
think, but
yeah,
talking about the AI into Web3 crossover, I think you all would agree that AI is a really helpful developer tool
100%.
when you're building in Web3.
yeah.
If I don't know if you have heard about the Spheron GPT, but
Mhm.
it's a tool where you can just type in CLI commands, and uh, it will automatically optimize the code or point out your errors or something and make it really simple to use. I
Man,
was
this
in a
is the best
workshop
thing
back
that
then,
I
and
saw. Sorry to interrupt you, Lakshay. It's
yeah,
really that you mentioned this one. I remembered three things that I saw in terms of AI. You saw Learn Web3 DAO's AI portal for your query. There
yeah,
is a chat GPT integration on that there,
yeah,
just to
And
help you out with the
you'll realize once you start building something like that, it is so easy to make it, but it is so important to make it as well. And you can obviously train it on your own data and then
yeah.
deploy it.
right.
But if you can provide tailored answers to what people are asking, this is
Exactly. The
the need
best
of the
thing
hour.
right now that I've been seeing is the documentation GPT. We have one on our protocol, and it's like, damn, you can just search for how can I integrate with Rainbow Kit, and you'll get the relevant links. Man, this
It's
is
so
Exactly.
good.
like this is killing in terms of integration, because you'll just talk to a person who's already trained to provide you with the links, and you just train the chat GPT. I think the pro subscription has the GPT-4
Mhm.
support, and the normal
Yeah,
one has 3.5 or something like
correct.
that.
3.5 turbo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I,
So
I think
yeah,
that's also a
we
very good
do
thing.
have a bot in our team, in our server
Yeah,
team, and it's like really talking to a human. You just put any question through it, and it will scan your documentation or something,
even the Me6
and
on
it will
Discord is now AI supported, right, Lakshay?
really.
Yeah,
Is
I
yeah.
it?
don't.
Oh, wow. I
Me6 AI has been released. You can now get all-round AI support from the Me6 bot.
I thought it was
so
irrelevant now.
No,
no,
Me6
no,
is
no, no.
still going good on in terms of the Discord bot applications. Like,
Yeah.
I just use it for music at some point.
mm,
I mean, I feel that Discord has also changed a lot through time. Earlier, it was used to be just for gamers, but then
yeah,
people adopted it with trading
Yeah,
strategies as well. So you see Reddit and Discord sort of supporting a lot of simultaneous communities at the same
yeah,
time. And
yeah,
so yeah, with blockchain also, I feel that it's going to be a very common technology in the future. So our goal is not to make blockchain so crazy that everybody knows about it. Our
yeah.
goal is to make people so comfortable that they don't even think about it,
Think about it.
right? So today, when you take out Paytm and you pay somebody, you're not thinking, "Oh wow, yaar, kya
Yeah,
API
the
lagao?"
payment gateways and everything like
So
that goes
crazy.
on.
I mean, मेरे बैंक से access ले लिया
Yeah,
इसने.
yeah,
No, 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 no. You just pay. That
yeah.
is the amount of simplicity and one-stop solution that you need for blockchain as well. And I think it's still in the coming. Those solutions are not there yet as of now. But I know some people who are building out such crazy things in terms of NFTs and in terms of trading APIs that you can
Yeah.
just integrate it in any app and it will start
Yeah,
working.
I think we started up from CoinGecko's API, which we all use in terms of the tokens
Still
and the token APIs.
yeah. But
But I think we
really,
have been
the
evolving.
the communities from Reddit have been really transitioning to
Yeah,
Discord. I remember Wall Street Bets, which really did a huge scam a few years
Yep.
ago, and I was a part of the
GameStop, right?
Discord community. Yeah, GameStop,
GameStop,
exactly.
right? Yeah, yeah,
And I was a part of the Discord community while the Dogecoin pump was happening,
yeah.
and
Oh wow.
that's really when I made a huge profit
my
from the
man bought a
Dogecoin.
Legion from Dogecoin, guys.
Oh shit!
Let's go.
Wow.
So yeah,
It
I
was like
think
3 years ago or
Discord community
something.
is really good in terms of that. Like, I
Yeah,
think they are coming up. It's getting into the Web3 niche now. Many of the bots have their pro subscription for Web3,
yeah,
the gas
Correct.
trackers, the NFT gating chats, and stuff like that.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, Collabland provides this, and we've been actually trying to integrate them. It's such a good
yeah,
solution because you can give tokens to your developer, sorry,
yeah,
to your community members from
yeah,
like a one Discord command.
yeah.
I'm like, wow, man. I mean,
and
this is
and
so
that
convenient.
airdropping feature, and then there is
Oh,
also a gated chat creation where you'll just
yes,
not need to assign a
yep.
role. If you have a community, you'll be able to join that VC.
so
So,
good.
Right.
like I've seen bots built using Third Web
Yeah,
that if you own a specific NFT, and then you have
yeah, I think
access
that's
to
also
certain
happening
Discord
to
servers.
each
You are
global.
granted some roles, and it's only a NFT gated
Yeah, I
server.
think each global also does that now. I'm not really sure.
Well, ETH Global does role-based
Yeah,
access based on the hackathon rules.
yeah, I think you have to paste your I think wallet public address for some getting
That is
something
for
verified.
staking. So if you're
Yeah,
somebody who is staked
yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah.
connect your Discord only, then you can enter the
Then
hackathon.
oh, you
Yeah.
can enter the hackathon in
Yeah.
terms of the virtual hackathons.
But they
Uh,
have so many routes to this. I mean, mentors can access without wallets.
Man,
Sponsors have
yeah,
their own
it's
channel.
we are
There's,
really getting very convenient in terms of that, and it's
yeah.
just that we have it's always us breaking it down, because there is a habit that's become a second nature, which is if we see something going on, we just break it down in terms of what will be happening on the background. It's really irritating sometimes. Like, I
Right.
was watching Silicon Valley, I think one
Oh,
of the seasons, or I think it was Pictures. Yeah, it was Pictures. It's an Indian
okay.
startup series, season 2, and they were talking about picking up a Series B just after 3 months of picking up Series A.
Oh,
And I
damn.
was just chilling, and I was like, no, 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 this should not be the case. You cannot pick up Series B just after that. So I think, us having that habit of breaking down things in the back is something that helps getting convenient stuff built.
Exactly. I mean, you can't optimize until you always look at your code from a shrewd eye, be like, "Arey, what have I written here?"
Yeah,
Unless you, and if you always keep yourself in a bubble, wow, I'm the best developer. You will never be the best developer. Hell, you'll not even be a good developer.
yeah.
You always need to look at your code and be like, okay, this is bad. I'm not a good developer.
Yeah,
I
this
should fix
happens to
this.
me in terms of UI development also. Like, I
Hmm.
love designing UI on the side. I When I do my other projects, I always start with the Figma design and stuff. And I see myself getting like very crude and very like cruel in terms of what my designs were previously.
Right.
Hell, I already criticize my current portfolio that I'm going to update now because I don't like the design. So I think us being very self-critical is
Hmm.
also leading the products getting developed and us as a individual
Exactly.
getting developed. And I think that comes to me circling back to what's in it for Future Kanishk. Like,
Oh
what's you
yeah,
seeing
absolutely.
as your future? You're currently
Absolutely.
living in Bangalore, I think, in a
I
penthouse kind of
transition.
structure.
Yeah. I mean, if it's either Delhi or Bangalore, I mean, I like DevRel life. You have to be around.
Yeah,
But mostly, see, for the future, I think you're going to see a big influx of hype-based technologies.
yeah,
But only some of them are going to stay, obviously.
yeah,
Right? That is the first thing I noticed. The second thing that I noticed is blockchain becoming more and more prevalent in the Indian government ecosystem.
yeah,
Because now with general payments accepting blockchain as something that is legal,
yeah,
we can at least
Yeah.
say, okay, Bitcoin can be in my wallet, yes. Ether can be in my wallet, yes. And these kind of things already tell people that, hey, something new is coming, you need to upgrade yourself, and an overall acceptance is going to happen for Web3, and I'm very, very sure
yeah.
of
And
it.
I think
So,
it started from the Smart India Hackathon. If you
oh
remember,
yes,
three
yes,
years ago, Smart India Hackathon did not had a blockchain kind of problem
yes.
statement section, but then I saw a blockchain and AR AI segment of that.
Oh, I won that segment. My
Yeah,
team came third. So
damn,
last year only,
you're
we
always an
went to.
overachiever, man.
Arey, no, bro. But see, we had a very good team, and all of us were. I think we took what 8 months to build that project before
Yeah,
the final hackathon happened. So we did our research, we made our product market fit, we made a business model before actually building it out. So
oh,
when we sat there for 2 days, we knew exactly what we had to code.
yeah,
Judges came, they trashed our idea. They're like, "Bro, this is the worst shit that I've seen in my life. You should not build it. Eat the paneer that we are serving you and go home." And we're
yeah,
like, no way. So we sat up for 32 hours straight and we
yeah,
coded on shitty Lenovo laptops because that like we were traveling through trains. I'm not carrying a MacBook in a train,
yeah,
right? And then we won, and I was so happy because you were actually able to see that they are not against blockchain because we had blockchain in our app.
yeah,
So they are not against AR VR being a normal thing, and
yeah,
all their questions were around data security and data privacy
yeah,
rather than how can I access this. And I was so
yeah.
happy when they asked that because now I can actually answer like an
It's like
engineer.
the whole tech crunch of India. Like, I think we are becoming very developer centric, because I think
Yeah.
the OGs of the development phase are now getting on a point where they can call big shots. So,
Exactly.
I think that's also happening. But yeah,
So
we've talked
what
about the
is it
future.
you are building?
Yeah.
Sorry.
What is
What
it
were you
you are
building?
building there?
Oh, the project we were building was it was called trans. I have teleport AR. So basically, it was the anywhere door that Doraemon gives you, but you go. So they had two. It had two modes. You have an anywhere door. You just click on wherever you want to go. It will open a box in front of you. You can walk into that box using your phone. That was the
Okay.
first feature. The second feature we had was that if you're physically standing in front of a monument and you want to learn about it, but you don't want any guides around you to help you out because they usually are how do you say, they usually cheat people a lot with the
Yeah.
information and they are very expensive for foreigners.
Yeah.
So you can just click on that tab. It will detect where you are based on your geolocation and a small image recognition that we run using Firebase, and it will be able to tell you all the information right on your phone, and it will speak the information as well.
Yeah.
So that is what we did. Third feature was, and this was the game changer. it crashed a lot, and it was a smart contract that will be able to, whatever photos you take, if you want to perpetually store them on chain, you can add them on chain using the phone Flutter device as well.
Oh,
We like built this out in 32 hours and presented it to them. They gave us 5 minutes to pitch this, and we're
yeah.
like, okay, shit,
Okay.
5 minutes, we can't pitch this entire thing in 5 minutes. So we made a skit, and in this skit, a kid is crying, and her mom is sort of taking care of the kid and all of that. And judges seemed to love the pitch more than the product.
Yeah.
So things went really, really good for us, I would say. But this year, I could see that when Smart India happens, if it does,
Yeah.
blockchain is going to be one of the biggest tracks because so many developers from the Web3 ecosystem are going to participate
For
for
sure.
sure.
For sure, because we've seen quite some rise in the DevFolio hackathons too. Like
Exactly.
there are many registrations happening. We always see some or the other hackathon venue. But we have already talked about what you see as the infrastructural future of blockchain. But yeah, I've always been asking you this: what's in it for the future, Kanishk? Like, what do you see yourself evolving as?
I want to be a better engineer. I want to get more into DevOps. I think that is one place where your app can scale. But if, for example, your front end can only do so much, your
Yeah,
back end can only serve data so much.
yeah,
If your servers aren't scaling, your back end does not scale, and if your back end does not scale, your front end is shit. So I feel that a DevOps engineer or a site reliability engineer is somebody who's very, very vital at that point. And I want to get into that because I feel like it will make me better as an engineer in
this
general.
is one of the like most different perspective that I've heard. Because transitioning from a metaverse engineer or a person who's talking to community and then going out being a site reliability engineer with the conversational skills that you have.
I mean,
I think site reliability has been the butt of all the jokes with the
I mean,
introvert
exactly.
engineering.
It's like the craziest engineers become
Yeah,
SREs, and I'm
yeah.
like, no, dude, they are the reason you can do so many transactions
Yeah,
in
I
like.
remember I was getting offered for LinkedIn site reliability. I was just getting offered for
Oh
that
wow,
through a hacker rank test.
wow,
And I was like, damn, why would I do this? But then it's LinkedIn. So I
yeah,
opened the test and I was like, no, 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 this is not my
it is
cup
bad.
of tea.
I mean, it's like they test you on system design, they
Yeah,
test you on cloud, and
yeah.
they test you on normal backend and front end, and then they say, okay, this guy can handle. And
Yeah.
if you fail at any point, you are gone. So,
It's Guilfoyle. Have you seen Silicon Valley?
absolutely, I have,
It's
yes.
exactly Guilfoyle. You'll be just like
Systems
Guilfoyle.
architecture too, and that dude is like when he built Anton.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whenever I'm coding, I just put Silicon Valley on my
Yeah, I
phone
just
and it
do
just
that.
plays on the side. So
You're
Anton is
not
one of the
even lying. That is the coolest job that I was saw on a show,
exact,
and I think everyone would resonate with that.
Yeah, I think
exactly
Guilfoyle was the badass
OG,
character for
Yep.
Silicon
exactly.
Valley. I think we'll talk about Silicon Valley now, but still, I think Richard had his particular
He
Yeah,
was
grievance
like
Richard
a
against.
had
smart
a lot
advice
of
giver.
problems,
Yeah.
Yep.
basically, and he
I
had a bad stomach.
Yeah,
But
I
Gilmore
somehow
was
always related with not Guilfoyle also. I related with Dinesh because I
oh,
think Dinesh had the solution in his mind. You know how he creates the chat part from the Pied Piper and then
exactly.
transitions. I think Dinesh was a good people's manager. He did not get to know that because he managed working with Guilfoyle for that long amount
Such
of
a
time.
long man.
So
I
I
mean,
think, and the competitiveness, I think I relate on that part too.
yeah,
So I think that is also what keeps us pushing. We had a very bad beer market.
exactly.
We had our specific grants of it. We faced some of
Definitely.
the problems that we usually do in
Half
the
the
beer market.
industry is gone, dude.
Yeah,
Half the industry wiped away in the bear market, and that is good, I would say, because all the noise is now out.
yeah. I
People who are
think
building shit solutions only to raise VC money,
yeah.
they're out,
I
and
think
that's good.
many of them died out because of they were not a very good fit for the market. But we also had some really unlucky stories in that part.
That is
I
also
think
good.
I also mentioned one of the startups. I saw an open letter. I read like three open letters which broke my heart because I just saw their previous tweets and they were releasing out their merches. And when you try building
Mm.
something up, when you know how the amount of hard work it takes, the amount of sleepless
Exactly.
night, I was designing my own like kind of small merch at that time for my startup, like just the team merch, and I was just seeing that this guy was handing out printed cups and stuff like that, and now. But they had the balls to return the VC money. I'm really happy about
That is
that.
actually very, very
They closed
respectable.
down. I think
Yeah.
that was Pillow.
Oh yeah, Pillow Fund. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Pillow.
Pillow Fund. Yeah,
Yeah, I think they returned 80% of their VC
that
money.
is actually very, very
That
respectable.
that's one of the most like respectable thing I've seen in the space with
Exactly.
full of scams and shit.
And
So
I
I
feel
think
a lot of people in this space will take away your faith in Web3 and take away
yeah,
your faith in blockchain. There are going to be scams all day long. But towards the end, you need to understand that as a developer, this is just another tech stack that you need
yeah.
to learn, and it has a tremendous ocean of opportunities. So,
Would you say
and
that you have survived it somehow? You had the
oh
mental
yeah,
strength or the
I have
capability?
faced my fair share of people cheating me out,
Yeah,
fair share of hacks. Before I got so much into communities,
yeah,
and I would take up a startup gig or I would take up like a freelance gig. People would cheat me, not pay as well.
yeah.
Now the advantage I have is that if somebody cheats me out, I can say
I
it
can
in
just tweet it
open,
out. I
and I can
think we
tell
had
them.
this conversation with the guy who was in a hackathon. Me and you were there.
Oh yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that
the
dude.
contract situation, right? Like they were making him sign some non-disclosure NDA or something like that.
It's bad.
And yeah, I think the first suggestion was just tweet that shit out.
Sweet
Just
that
tweet that
that's the
shit out.
word.
Yeah, I think this comes to a different part of thing that's not really discussed with
Mhm.
all the like things going around. The mental strength that it takes to be a developer in the space like this, and
Yeah,
the early mover advantage also has an early mover depression.
100%.
So I think we all have that 3 a.m. crisis. How do you deal with that? Like how
Uh,
do you deal with the crisis that you go on?
Absolutely. So sometimes, just to shed more light on these crises that we're talking about, so the viewers don't feel overwhelmed, what
Yeah,
will happen is you'll be messing around with a very newer tech stack, and it will not work.
yeah.
It will just not work. But you need to deliver, or you need to build something out to learn, and it sort of comes on a developer's ego as well. I've seen that happen. That hey, why can't I
It
build it?
happens with
Right?
me a lot. Like I just get
So
irritated. I smash around things, and I'm
exactly.
like really unhappy when I'm not like I regard it as my forte to adapt things quickly. Usually developers do like that, and I think that crisis hits that I'm not good enough for this.
Exactly. But see, you need to understand a couple of things. The ecosystem is very important when you start building. If the ecosystem is very new, it is immature, which is when things break, which is when things don't scale, and which is there will be no answer to why a particular piece of code is not working for you.
Yeah,
Right? Then next up can be you just made a silly mistake, you need to take some time off, have some coffee, come back, and then look at your code from a fresh set of
yeah. I think
eyes.
that works for me a lot
So
because
you,
when you're looking at a foreign code for us, which are doing the integration debugging part, I think
hmm,
looking at a foreign code is just like seeing someone reading someone else handwriting, and
exactly,
that's really difficult to have a same perspective for a long amount of time.
exactly,
So I think that's also a thing, and I think the biggest crisis is I think Lakshay and me have talked about this. Am I replaceable?
hundred
I
percent.
think this is kind of a thing.
I think a way to look around that, the 3 a.m. crisis, is to get a job that wants you to work at 3 a.m. Thank you, Taweb. Thanks for having me. It was really a pleasure working with you.
No, no, but I think yeah, having a job at 3 a.m. is also very interesting stuff. Lakshay is usually the worst guy to hang out with if you want to hang out with him because he's not available on weekends.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, this guy works on weekends. Now I've made it my habit. It was a complaint from their side that I was not able to hang out on weekends because I work on my personal gigs throughout the weekend. But like
Right.
this is Sunday that we are recording this. You imagine
So
how dull this life
I
is.
have to go on like a mentorship call after this, which is why the initial time I shifted it because
Yeah,
7:30
yeah,
I have to mentor some people.
yeah.
But
So
see,
it's really
the,
the opposite for me. I really have to work on all the weekends, and
oh,
I'm
damn.
quite free the whole week.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah,
that is
he's kind
good
of yeah,
actually.
he's kind of really light on
So
work on the whole week part.
Nice,
So yeah, we are managing multiple gigs. We have talked about mental strengths, and we have vibed a lot throughout this podcast.
exactly.
I think I would like to have some end notes from you. I think we've started this in a just like a blitz. It was an idea that occurred through the previous guest pushing me to create something as a content site. Then I reined in Lakshay because he's just an introvert guy that I used to interact with.
You should stop dissing him. Okay, he's a very good guy.
Man,
Okay.
he's my roommate from like 2 years now. I've had this habit of him dissing me on my developer relation skills and me dissing him on
no,
being a
it's the
Discord.
other way around at IRL.
Yeah,
Right. So all right. So to just end this note, I think this okay. couple of, because we discussed so many things.
Yeah.
Watch Silicon Valley if you haven't. It'll make you good as a developer. It will teach you a lot about like the startup and the VC ecosystem in general.
Yeah.
It's a very, very good show. It's very interesting to watch. Some things are obviously fabricated, but
Yeah.
yeah,
In terms
in the
of
bigger
development
sense,
technicalities,
oh
maybe
yeah,
it's fabricated, but
yeah,
the VC culture, the growth of a startup, the phases a startup goes through is as accurate as it gets in our
exactly.
perspective that we have faced.
Absolutely. And I feel that they obviously show a very funny side of VCs
Yeah.
as well. That is not always true. I have a lot of friends who are into venture capital and they are sane people.
Yeah.
They do their diligence and all, but they
Yeah.
just wanted to make Laurie Bream interesting, which is why
Yeah.
she is like
For
that.
sure.
But yeah, so again, after that, do explore, guys. The Are you replaceable? 110% you are replaceable. There is a world before you, there will be a world after you. The only way you make your time count is by actually building skills that provide value to the people and writing code that is remembered even after you are gone. How
Yeah.
does that happen? That does not happen in a day. You need to grind your ass off to actually get to that point, and then some more.
Yeah.
So don't limit yourself to, hey, I'm a web developer, this is the end for me. No, 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 no. Web developers will get eaten up by AI the first.
Yeah.
You need to get into
Yeah.
app, you need to get into blockchain, you need to just keep exploring. Be a jack of all trades and a king of some.
Yeah.
Not none, but a king of some.
Yeah.
And that is the best way to keep yourself relevant and a little bit profitable, if not very profitable.
For sure.
Yeah, towards the end, and yeah, of course, check out Lumos, check out Third Web, check out Akana. We are all building some really, really cool stuff in this space. We are always open to feedback. We are always open to helping developers out, and I would love to see all of you in the next hackathon that you will be at, and hopefully I will be at.
Sure, guys. This was three Delhi boys vibing on Web3, and I think you liked this episode. If more, we'll get on with some new episodes of this. I think Lakshay and me are in conversation with some good roles that we see around the space.
It's coming.
Yeah, we soon have some good dev masterclass breakdowns also with Kanishk, because I really like this developer theories that we do on, and I think us talking about exploits and us talking about the technical happenings of the space is also a very good thing. So I'll try creating a masterclass with DAO or with Jaff, and then with breakdowns for technical thing with Kanishk, because I think us being like the same age group maybe or the same place, Delhi, I think that helps us
It
vibe
has
a
a
lot.
vibe on its own, dude.
Yeah,
Not
yeah. No, I think the vibe is different. The vibe is very chill in terms of that, and I think I really had fun. It's been 1 hour that we have been conversing, and I didn't get a clue. So
yeah.
so yeah, I think this was us. Subscribe and like if you want. Don't if you don't like this. So yeah, bye guys. This has been me, Lakshay, and Kanishk. Have a
Thank you
great day.
so much. Bye bye.